Hey! Welcome to, or back to, BarbieCoProductions. Today, I'm doing a DIY Barbie plant and patio tutorial. So, let's get started. Now, the first thing I'm going to make today is a pot to put the plants in. And some recycled cardboard. Oh, and don't forget the glue. I also made this much bigger planter out of some giant paddle pop sticks and some glue. Now, going back to our other smaller pot, the next step is to cut off the excess. I'm painting mine with this cement grey acrylic paint. And set aside to dry. While we're waiting for that to dry, why don't we use these pots I made up earlier? I take some air dry clay, and I roll it into a ball. Once it looks kind of like a ball, you can shove it into the bottom of the pot. The clay will help the plants stick in to the pot, and it will also weigh down the pot. I take some artificial succulents. I just got these from my local craft store. Once you've made a mold of the plants inside the pot, you can take them out and add some glue. You can really use any glue, but I use a water-based glue. It just seems to work better. For these plants, I used Podge. You could really just leave it there. But because I want to add some extra detail, I'm adding some little rocks in. And set aside to dry. Now I'm just going to do the exact same process with the second pot. Now I'm going to put some plants in the larger planter box, which uses the exact same method as the little pots. Clay, leaves, glue, rocks. For this planter box, I have some big leafed plants. I start by cutting the leaves off. Next, I take some floral wire and I wrap the wire around the leaf stem. This just makes the leaves more posable in the end. I also took all the leaves and wrapped even more floral wire around them to make them into these little bunches. And then I repeat the same process as the little pots. For this one, I use a paintbrush to spread the Mod Podge out, and then I can add some rocks on top. Set aside to dry. While we're waiting for that to dry, let's make up some even smaller potted plants. I got these terracotta pots off AliExpress. And since these pots are so small, I'm going to use these little bits at the end of the succulents. So I cut up a little bunch of them. Add some clay, Mod Podge, and then the plants. Set them aside to dry, and while we're waiting, let's make one more. Pot, clay, Mod Podge, and coffee grinds. I dried these in the oven and they look a lot like soil. Add that on top of the Mod Podge and add in your plant. And this is another super cute thing you can use to cover up that clay. And moving on to the patio. So this is actually the side of my room box, and this is a Polaroid wall display. This is a bamboo placemat that I found at the thrift store, and these are some pieces of painted plywood, but you could also use cardboard, that are blue tacked to the side of my room box. And these are benchtop and cabinet samples that I got from Bunnings. The first thing I'm going to add to this space is this green, viney, artificial plant that looks really nice in this corner. Next, some sun loungers. These are some sun loungers I got for cheap at the thrift store, and I spray painted them and added some paddle pop sticks to them. And this is what they looked like before. This is a sugar pot that I also found at the thrift store. And with some blue tack, it makes a pretty cute side table. Now, moving on. I add our big long plant from earlier to this corner. I add a little table that I made over here. And some bigger terracotta pots that I also got at the thrift store. I put some rocks into this jar. And a couple of plants from an upcoming video. A tiny watering can that I also got on AliExpress. A pot with some plant cuttings in it. Some more little terracotta pots. And a little soil box that I made up out of some coffee grinds and another piece of paper towel roll. A little black trolley on wheels. Even more terracotta pots. A couple of extra rocks for some detail. And just one more plant. One of our big succulent pots from earlier. A barbecue that I also made up. Added some jumbo paddle pop sticks, beads, and some buttons. Our other big succulent pot from earlier. Another plant from an upcoming video. And for the final detail, these little bulb lights. They remind me of cafe lights, which I put over the top of the setup. Turn them on and turn off the lights. I think this patio turned out super cute. Be sure to let me know what you think of it in the comments. And that is the end of today's video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like and let me know what you thought in the comments. Oh, and maybe subscribe, as it really inspires me to keep making content. Bye!